okay musicians and wannabe musicians. What about the piano? We've done all the strings. We've talked about them. We've talked about the personality of the strings. Who would best be suited to playing strings? What about that old favourite, the piano? Lots and lots of things about the piano that offer a fantastic grounding for any instrument that you want to play later. So the piano is really, really good for learning to read music because it has two hands and it covers all the notes of the orchestra. So you will learn to read music that can, the transferable skills afterwards for other instruments are usually pretty good. Not all instruments. There's going to be a change up if you go to viola, because viola has its own special clef, and some of the other instruments use different clefs. But mostly the instruments that you're going to probably want to play after the piano, if you wanted to do that, you're already covered with the treble clef and the bass clef. So your right and your left hands have used this wonderful code that we call music. You can read the score. The other really good thing about piano is you're never out of tune unless you've got an acoustic and you have to get a tune around. But in this day and age, you can play a really good Yamaha electric piano, and they have such good action. That's the hammer speed. Obviously, there's no hammer hitting a string on an electric instrument. That's only on an acoustic instrument. But you can fake it, and the better electric pianos fake it. So your technique isn't problematic. You can learn to play. You can certainly learn to read music. And you can also, if you've got an electric piano, thwack that into your desktop editing software, and you can turn the piano digitized code for every single note into any instrument that you want. Fantasy instruments you didn't know existed, experimental instruments, the bass guitar. You can have the whole band, the lead guitar, the drums. Absolutely anything can be achieved through an electric piano with your software. Really good for arranging. If you're an arranger, if you want to compose music, you can have all your voices on the piano, and then you can divide them up and send them to your cellist, your bass player, or whoever, your brass section, whatever. You can divide all those notes that you've just composed on the piano and send them to the sectional. So it's really, really good for any type of rearranging music. So, you can take one of the classics, because most of the all classical music is, before a certain date, is in the public domain. And a lot of jazz music is in the public domain. So you can take that music and you can do your own arrangement from it. You can tweak it, twiddle it, make it other instruments, all of that sort of thing. It's really, really exciting if that's your bag. If you are interested in any type of composition work or working with rearranging older music, or if you're interested in being in a band and you can fold the stand up, your keyboard stand up, and shove the keyboard in the car, absolutely brilliant for that. You can turn it into a synthesizer. I mean, it's just absolutely brilliant if that's what if that's what your heart is telling you is the way to go forward. So although, the assumption quite often is that the piano is a solitary instrument for solo players, that's not actually true. If you've got an electric that you can literally put them on under your arm and go and meet the band. Do you see? So in that respect, absolutely spot on perfect. You don't have to be a solitary lone child or adult practicing in your room. Now, the other thing, I think I mentioned it already, that it's always in tune. Or if you've got your piano tuner and you've got an acoustic, then you need to get it tuned regularly. And I think, every few months, especially if you've got sort of heating issues, where it's really hot and then really cold, or if it's an old piano. I mean, I just wouldn't recommend having an old piano anymore. I've bought about 3 in my life, and none of them have been cost effective. They've all required so much maintenance for what I need them to do, and they still didn't have a MIDI signal that I could put into my edit suite and my production studio. So, I teach on an electric piano. I teach using one. You can learn all of your fingering and aural training on an electric. You don't have to have an acoustic piano to do all of that. Yes, it's very nice to have an acoustic piano. Have any of us anymore? Do any of us have the room, in this day and age, to, have a gorgeous concert grand? I mean, come on. It's a luxury, isn't it? If you're looking for you have dreams for your child, or your child has dreams to be a concert pianist, and they're 7 years old, perfect age to start, 7 years old. We can start earlier, but, 7's a good age. Yes, certainly, at some point, an acoustic piano is going to be the natural continuum, if you like. So, you'd probably think about maybe starting on an electric, and when they start to get really good, and maybe they're going for auditions, perhaps they're at school, they've got an acoustic at school. That's the perfect thing, isn't it? Perhaps they go to a music school where it's full of acoustic pianos everywhere, all over the place, all tuned, all beautifully presented, wonderful. But the practicalities are such that actually you can do pretty well with the more expensive the digital piano, the better quality, and the more it mimics an actual acoustic piano. So, I'm not saying for under £100 you'd get anything worth. It's good for practice, but the more you pay, the better impersonation of an actual piano that Yamaha is going to be doing. So, and I say Yamaha because they make the best ones, as in my opinion, but there are lots and lots of other ones. So, you can have one in every room if you want. You can have a digital piano in every room. So, all the kids can have one. Fantastic. Now, the other thing with the piano, you're going to learn very, very quickly some very useful chords, probably, and some very useful twinkly bits. And it's going to sound really very good very, very early on. So if you're an impatient person and you want to sound good and you want to show off a bit and you want people to say, wow, that's good, piano's for you. The piano is absolutely for you. There's no problem with intonation, with a string instrument, if you get that slightly wrong, everyone knows it. Even the most inexperienced musician, or non-experienced, somebody who's never been near an instrument can hear reliably that you're out of tune on a string instrument, if you are out of tune. Not tiny, subtle tuning, misrepresentations, if you like. But we can all hear, can't we? When we watch X Factor or something, we can all hear when someone is flat or pitchy, as they say. And that's because, we're brought up with so much music around us from a very young age, even in the womb, actually. So for anyone who's very self-conscious about, getting things wrong and having people screw their noses up and, and to be judged, I'd say the piano is a really good option because it's all tuned, it's all done for you, darlings. It's all absolutely ready for you to go. If you learn with us, actually, the Continuum Approach uses expression from day one, being expressive. And the risk with the piano is that, you sort of hammer down the strings, you've got very bad technique, and it's clunk, 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 and there's maybe no volume control or no volume sensitivity, no creative sensitivity. Well, all that comes with lessons. So that's not necessarily something you can teach yourself really early on. It comes later, probably. You can go on YouTube and you can watch loads and loads of early learning for piano, which is fantastic. There's, lots and lots of pianists understand that teaching piano works on YouTube in a way better than any other instrument, because the technique of sitting at a piano is much clearer than it is for string instruments and using them and these sort of ergonomics around that. So for me, I think I would recommend the piano to anyone who wants to have results quickly or more quickly that they can run with. Anyone who wants to compose music, work with arranging, work with bands. Anyone who's into electronic music, absolutely spot on, brilliant fun, really good. I mean, you can have such a good band practice with a keyboard plugged into your laptop. Absolutely phenomenal. Such fun going into a speaker. I mean, really glorious things that you can achieve. And just the basic skills of, score reading. And that can increase so quickly and you can become quite advanced. Then you improve your sight reading, which is really, really useful. And because us pianists have two hands, when we sight read, we're sort of back and forwards, left to right, left to right. What are we doing? Oh, my goodness. Oh, okay. Oh, this is a C chord broken down. Oh, I get, okay, now I know. We're really thinking on our feet as pianists. On our seat, hopefully. So that's, the skills that you learn are far in advanced, I would say, in terms of musicality and score reading and the theory of music than the stringed instruments. I can't comment on the brass or the woodwind or, the drum, the percussion section, because I don't know. I don't play those. So, I could be missing something in terms of assuming that the piano is the best one for composing and arranging. But I don't think I am. So there we go. So yeah, if you want to learn piano this year, 2026, new hobby or whatever, then you can come along and have a look around. It's only £3 a month, Continuum. And there'll be all sorts on there. I haven't started the live lessons yet. They're starting tomorrow. Enjoy your holiday, have a few days off. But for £3 a month, you get absolutely everything so much. And you can, if you're a member, book a one-to-one with me, which I do on Zoom. Or I can even do them on Facebook Messenger, whatever it is that you use. Keep it easy. WhatsApp is really good as well. Anything that you can get video on. I do workshops and I do, one-offs. You don't have to book weekly lessons. I don't think we all need weekly lessons, and I think sometimes it's a bit much to expect, especially adults. Adults, I think, have very busy lives, especially if you've got kids at home and, the balancing careers and things like that. But certainly, think about having a lesson whenever you start feeling that you've come across you've reached a plateau, nothing seems to be getting further. That's when it's really useful to talk to somebody who just says, oh yeah, right, okay, well, I think your range is a bit narrow, so let's bring in some interesting other styles, or let's talk about, perhaps writing your own music or something like that. Let's talk about some rules of harmony. That sounds really heavy, doesn't it? But it's not. It's beautiful. Harmony is a beautiful thing. So, if you're into that, do pop over and join us. Otherwise, just keep listening to the podcast, because the podcast is, it's free for everyone. It's part of the Continuum Approach, is that as much as possible, things are free. And you can just, I don't think you have to sign up or anything. You just listen to me on Apple and Spotify and wherever else you get your podcasts. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy, just like playing an instrument in 2026.